Greetings. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jenny, a woman of 27 years. 3 years past, I entered into matrimony with the remarkable Hugo, a gentleman of unparalleled beauty and kindness. His compassionate and good-natured demeanor never fails to elicit a sense of amazement within me each passing day. Regrettably, I cannot extend the same sentiment towards his mother, Maria Ika, my mother-in-law. Since our initial encounter, it appears she harbors an inexplicable animosity towards me. While I understand her protective instincts for her beloved son, Hugo, I contend that she occasionally exceeds reasonable bounds. Maria has a proclivity for seemingly innocuous actions that, in reality, deliberately provoke discomfort, portraying the recipient as irrational. Navigating interactions with such a person is a requisite aspect of my life, given our familial ties. My upbringing, however, instilled in me a proclivity for confronting nonsensical behavior, withholding no reservations. This facet of my personality, I believe, played a role in capturing Hugo's affection. As the adage suggests, opposites attract, a principle underscored by our contrasting personas. Armed with a modest understanding of psychology, I assert that Maria's intentions lean towards the negative spectrum. Our assertive personalities inevitably clash, perhaps elucidating her audacious remark during our initial meeting. She audaciously suggested, "Jenny, don't you think it's time to curtail your gastronomic indulgence?" The ensuing silence around the restaurant table was palpable, with everyone recoiling in shared astonishment. My complexion undoubtedly betrayed my profound embarrassment, a sentiment shared by Hugo, my then-boyfriend, and even his father, Kyle, who, in his stunned state, bowed his head in solidarity. Hugo, caught between embarrassment and anger at his mother's audacity, promptly admonished her for her indiscretion. "Her, really, Mom? That is such an awful thing to say. She can eat as much as she wants to." "Oh no, sweetie, I didn't mean any harm. I just wanted to look out for you, you know. I've noticed that you've been gaining a lot of weight. Hugo has been showing me your photos from when you were younger, and you looked so much better, not like now, but I don't mean to be offensive, sweetheart. I'm just trying to give you some advice." I tried my best to remain calm, as I didn't want to cause a scene, but my embarrassment quickly started to turn into irritation. Nonetheless, because this was my first time meeting the family and I wanted to make a lasting impression, I absolutely adore Hugo. For the first time in a long time, I held my tongue. I just smiled at her politely and thanked her for the unsolicited advice. Situations like that grew in frequency and strength as we got to know each other more. I genuinely believed that the taunting would stop at some point after she had determined that I was good for her son, but it only appeared to be getting worse. I was beginning to get along fine with my father-in-law, Kyle, who is the sweetest man on earth. I see where Hugo gets it from. As much as I was growing closer to everyone else in Hugo's family, Maria appeared to be the only one who disliked me, and for no apparent reason. I even got introduced to Jack, who was Hugo's childhood friend. They grew up together. Together, Maria practically considered him a second son. Even though Hugo's whole heart was open to me, and it appeared as though his family accepted me with open arms, even his extended family, as well as Jack, seemed to have no issue with me. I'm so grateful for the love and support I managed to identify from the vast and overwhelming majority of Hugo's family. I received this love and support up until my wedding day, where my mother-in-law, of course, tried to do something conniving to make me look bad on my special day. She made it a point to be as bothersome and as ridiculous as she could be. Honestly, she was acting like a bridezilla. No, her hair is supposed to be in an updo, just like how I did it on my wedding day. I appreciate the help, Maria, but I want my hair to look like this. I don't think so. You look so ugly. The bridal party gasped, but unfortunately, I was used to this, so it wasn't surprising. She quickly tried to rectify her mistake. "Oh no, darling, no. I just mean that you can look so much better than you do now. And I would just like to say that I see a lot of myself in Jenny. She is such a bright young woman. And even though I looked much better than she did at her age, I would like to say that she is beautiful in her way." Although my father-in-law managed to get my mother-in-law to stop her ruthless antics on the day, the pain and bitterness I felt remained. This was not in my nature to remain silent and unresponsive. I was losing my firecracker energy. This woman was slowly draining me, and it had to be put to an end. Fast forward 3 years to where the events of today's story take place. We were all sitting at the dining table of Hugo's childhood home, where his parents still live. On a Sunday night, my mother-in-law had ever so graciously invited us over, including Jack, meaning that it must have been something important she wanted to tell us all. Although I had my suspicions about her randomly making this dinner plan, which later on were affirmed, it was a pleasant surprise. At some point, the ball dropped, and this is the beginning of what turned out to be a very messy series of events. My mother-in-law started to garner everyone's attention, as she had an important announcement to make. She pulled out a paper and started reading it. Attention, everyone. I have an announcement to make. As you all know, my birthday is coming up, and so I wanted to let you know what I've been planning for this very special day. I've decided that we're going to take a trip to Hawaii. The paper was a confirmation of the Hawaii trip, and that sounds fantastic. What? That's amazing, Jenny. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. Oh my goodness, this is great news. I'm so excited. I don't even know what to say. Thanks so much, May. Oh, actually, you're not coming. Honey, what are you talking about? This wasn't part of the plan. I made some last-minute arrangements and managed to cancel her ticket before they gave us extra charges. Oh, so my ticket was already bought. She just went ahead and canceled it. Why does this woman hate me so much? Mom, what are you talking about? Jack and I seem to be the only ones silent in this whole situation as a whole flurry of harsh words was exchanged back and forth. Eventually, after some poking and prodding for a decent enough excuse, Maria finally stated, Okay, fine. I'll tell you the reason why. I thought it best that Jenny sits this family event out. As you all know, I'm getting a little bit older, and I decided that I want the remaining years of my life to be centered on being around the people I care most about. Unfortunately, Jenny just doesn't belong on that list. Wow, Mom, really? What is wrong with you? Nothing is wrong with me. Don't you dare disrespect me. I'm just saying that, well, Jenny can't be considered part of our family since she's not related by blood. Well, by that logic, then Jack shouldn't be able to go either, right? Since he isn't technically family, as you're stating. But we all know that's preposterous, and he is part of the family. And ever since Hugo and Jenny got married, that means she is part of the family. Well, obviously with Jack, it's different. You know that he's just so precious, and he's our sweet baby angel. He's always been here, but Jenny hasn't. So that's why I'm just not comfortable with her coming on the trip. And it's my birthday, so I get to decide whatever we want. Come on, Jenny, we're leaving at once. No. The way that I firmly said no commanded all of the attention in the room, including my antagonist who was trying to stifle a smile this entire time. But at that moment, she wiped it off her face. Maria, you've made it clear since the beginning that you do not like me. And every day for the past 3 years, I have endured your insufferable. You think we all don't see how you act. You think that we all don't notice that you're a narcissist little girl. You better watch the way you speak to me. You are in my house, and not for long or not. I'm just about to leave, actually, but not before I say this. I turned to my loving husband, who was looking at his mother with angry eyes. Babe, I love you with my whole heart, and I have tried to endure this for such a long time. But I see now that your mother will never accept me into this family, no matter how hard I try and no matter how many times I bite my tongue. You should go on this trip. You can't miss it. As much as your mother is crazy, she's still your mother, and you love her, and she loves you. So you have to go. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I then turned to my mother-in-law, whose mouth was agape because of what I just said. And as for you, unfortunately for you, I am in love with your son, and I am not going anywhere. You might think that you can push me away, but I will always be here. Even when you go to Hawaii, you will always be thinking about me because if I'm being honest, I think you're obsessed with me. How dare you? I should slap you right now. I'm not finished. You are obsessed with me. You're obsessed with tearing me down, and I cannot even imagine why, when all I've done is shown you kindness and patience, even when you didn't deserve it. But enough is enough. You don't want me to go to Hawaii with you. Fine. You don't think I'm part of the family? Fine. But I will always be here as long as I breathe. I will always be here for Hugo, Kyle, and even Jack. But never for you. At that moment, I realized that I finally shut her up. She left her mouth open as if she was searching for something to say, anything to say, but her mind wouldn't let her. She is when she gets upset. Well, she needs to hear this as much as everyone else. I found a letter in the kitchen, and it's addressed to Jack. I think you all need to know what's in it. I began to read the letter out loud to everyone in the room, emphasizing the shocking parts and letting the weight of Maria's words sink in. As I read, the expressions on their faces changed from confusion to shock and disbelief. Hugo's eyes widened, and Jack's jaw dropped. "I can't believe she wrote this," Jack exclaimed. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" Hugo asked, looking at me for confirmation. "I wish it were. But it seems like Maria has some deep-seated issues, and she poured them out in this letter. She talks about loving Jack more than you, Hugo. I couldn't keep this to myself." Hugo's face turned from shock to a mix of emotions, including anger and hurt. Jack, too, seemed torn between disbelief and betrayal. "I'm sorry you had to hear it like this," I said, my voice filled with a mix of sympathy and frustration. "But it's better to know the truth than to live in the dark." Hugo sighed heavily, his eyes filled with a complicated mix of emotions. Jack, still processing the information, muttered, "I never expected this." "I think Maria needs to explain herself," I suggested. "This isn't something that can be brushed aside. It's a serious matter that needs to be addressed." As we contemplated how to handle the situation, the atmosphere in the room became heavy with tension. The revelation in Maria's letter had the potential to change the dynamics of their family forever, and it was clear that a difficult conversation lay ahead. She gets about her beauty sleep. I was all too familiar with Maria's awkward and unnecessary routines and regimes that would often inconvenience others. "I have an irritation. This is just really important. She has to be here." "It's okay, Jenny, you can tell us, and we'll inform her when she wakes up." I hesitated, considering the information that I knew. I wanted to see the redness on her face from embarrassment. "I think you should just go ahead and tell us, sweetie." "It's okay, and you know Hugo has anxiety. It would be bad to keep him waiting," Kyle urged. That was true. Hugo's anxiety got really bad at times, and I could see him begin to fidget from the anticipation. "Okay, fine. I'll show you guys what I found when I was in the kitchen collecting my purse and getting ready to leave. I found something interesting that I think you all need to know about." I pulled out the paper I found and began to read. "Dearest Jack, you know that you have always been like a son to me, and you know that I love you dearly. The love and care you have shown for me throughout the years will never be forgotten. I hate to admit it, but even when it comes to my son Hugo, I feel as though the love we once shared is no longer there." What is she saying? What is this? I continued reading. "Hugo, I just don't see eye to eye like we used to too, and honestly, I think it's because of Jenny. Ever since he married that girl, he no longer has time for me. He doesn't love me, and therefore, I don't think I love him. I love you, and you are my son. With that being said, I want to let you know that I am going to update my will so that you inherit all of my belongings and not Hugo. I know it might hurt him, but honestly, at this point, I don't care. It's that wretched Jenny girl. She's the one who has poisoned my love for him. I hope you received this letter well. The reason why I didn't want to approach you about it in person is that, and it pains me to admit this, I couldn't risk seeing the rejection on your face. I know you love Hugo like he's your brother, and most likely you won't approve, but I don't care. I'm giving you everything: the money, the house, the cars, and even my small businesses. They're all yours, whether you like it or not. If you want to talk about this further, please call me and we can discuss it. I look forward to hearing your response. I will love you forever and always, your second mom." I finally looked up from reading the letter, and I was met with a flurry of mixed emotions. Kyle looked like he was going to cry. Jack looked stunned, but Hugo looked like he was going to murder someone. I can't believe she said all those things. Is she being serious right now? So the reason why she's doing all of this is because of Jenny. She hates Jenny so much that she'd not include me in her will just to spite me and Jenny. She's officially lost her mind. You guys, I don't even know what to say. This has gone far enough. I've had it with this woman and her toxic behavior. What are we going to do? At that moment, I had an idea. 1 week had gone by, and it was time for the designated Hawaii trip. Maria woke up and found a letter from her husband on her bedside table. It read, "Good morning, gorgeous. We decided to let you get some more beauty rest. Don't worry, your bags have all been packed. Just find us at the airport." Maria then got ready and headed to the airport, looking around frantically for the people with whom she was meant to go on this birthday trip. She tried calling them, but they all wouldn't answer. She assumed that they were already on the plane and therefore couldn't answer her call. She rushed frantically and boarded her flight, hoping to just meet them once they landed in Hawaii. She endured the 12-hour flight, and once she landed, she video called Kyle. "Hello, Kyle. Where the hell are you guys? I woke up late and saw your note, which was a cute idea if I hadn't woken up so late. I got to the airport and tried calling you guys, but none of you were responding. I just assumed that you already boarded, but it doesn't matter now because now we're in Hawaii. How amazing! Tell me where you are so we can meet up and let the festivities begin. That won't be happening, Maria. What do you mean? Tell me where you are. I'm home. What? You heard me. I'm at home. We're all at home. Say hi, everyone. Kyle panned out his phone to show that everyone, himself, Jack, Hugo, and me, were all in his house, sitting at the same dining table where we all heard the tragic news from a week before. What do you mean? Why are you at home? You see, Maria, Jenny brought some interesting information to our attention a week ago, and ever since then, we decided that we'd much rather spend our time in boring old Florida with her than anywhere else with you. Maria guessed, you think we wouldn't find out? Find out what, my baby? Oh, don't you baby me. You were really going to cut me out of the will, Mom? I. How did you even find out about that? Oh, that wretched girl that you hate so much. Jenny found your stupid letter in the kitchen. I don't know what you're talking about, Maria. Lying right now is only adding more nails to the coffin. Jack, tell them. You've got to believe me. I did nothing of this sort. We all read the letter, Maria. The gate is up. But I didn't do anything. Jenny is making everything up. Oh, am I? You're so pathetic it actually makes me sick. We all know what you said and what you tried to do. Thank God I was savvy enough to read the whole thing. Hugo, Kyle, please. No, Maria, enough is enough. You're done. You don't get to say anything else. You messed up big time. Your hatred has caused you to be blind. Now you have to suffer the consequences of being alone on your birthday because of what you've done. I hope you can use this time in Hawaii to reflect on your actions. But I'll be alone. It won't be fun. Maybe people would like to hang out with you more if you weren't such a raging witch. Have fun. And with that, Kyle hung up the phone. We all let out a sigh of relief. Then I was the first person to start laughing. Eventually, Hugo joined in, and before we knew it, we were all bursting with laughter and cackling at the dining table, just laughing at how crazy the situation was. The look on her face once she realized the gig was up was hilarious. Her face turned pale, all the blood drained from her face, and I could tell that that was the first time in a long time that she felt embarrassed. Maria had to spend her vacation alone, often calling Kyle to see if he at least would come and join her because canceling the reservations she made would be expensive. But every time he kept denying it. He said that when she comes back, they were going to have to implement some ground rules that were to be followed if she still wanted to be married to him. Maria began to be very apologetic and frantic, a complete 180 from what she normally acted like, which was honestly surprising. Hugo also mentioned that if Maria still wanted to be in his life, she had to drastically change her attitude. Otherwise, he was ready to walk out of her life forever. Their relationship is still rocky, and Hugo said that if Maria ever disrespected him again, even if it's the smallest snide remark she could make, he would cut her off completely, the same way that she was planning on cutting him off. As for Jack, he thought it best to stop being so nice to Maria, as it was clearly enabling her toxic behavior. So not only did Maria end up spending a miserable time in a beautiful place, but she also risked losing the 3 most important people in her life. She now has very rocky relationships with all of them, and she has to change to be better. As for me, I messaged her and told her that I need time to see if I'm going to forgive her for all of her injustices. And she was apologizing and begging for me to talk some sense into the men in her life. I obviously refused, stating that this is the bed she made for herself, and now she has to lay in it. And even to this day, Maria is still trying to mend the very broken relationships that she caused. I just hope that she learned her lesson.